and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to share a little bit of a pregnancy update with you. So I'm currently 25 weeks pregnant, just shy or just above that at 25 and a half weeks when I'm filming this, but quite a lot has happened and it's been well over a month since I filmed a last pregnancy update. So I thought that I'd dive straight into what's been going on with me, what's been going on with baby, and what's been going on with our life in this last while. So for those of you who have only just joined me here, please do hit that subscribe button down below and share this video with people who are at this sort of a similar point in pregnancy if you're interested in sort of symptoms and how things might look at about this point in your pregnancy. I've had a really wonderful pregnancy up until now, pretty much non-eventful, bar just keeping an eye on this little one's weight, which has been sort of on the lower side of normal. So I've been sort of getting regular scans. I'm actually going in for another one tomorrow, but it's erring on the less so worried, more so just keeping an eye end of things. But if you're looking for a little bit more information on all of that and you want to kind of just get up to date, make sure and check out my previous pregnancy update videos. For those of you who are new here, my name is Kitty. I am a registered general nurse. I'm a lactation consultant. I'm also a hypnobirthing instructor, antenatal educator, birth and postpartum doula, and I'm also a mum. I very much come from a space of sort of gentle parenting, attachment parenting, breastfeeding to the point of self-weaning, that kind of thing, co-sleeping, crunchy-ish. Crunchy-ish is probably the way I would describe myself. And this last kind of month has been a little bit of a whirlwind. Like the other pregnancy updates, I would forget my own head if it wasn't attached to me, so I have to kind of take notes just to give myself a little bit of a reminder. But I'm going to start with baby. This is not all notes from this particular video because that would be a lot. But at this point in pregnancy, baby's about the size of a papaya, which is really quite huge, and it's still so mind-blowing to me that I'm growing a human. And with this pregnancy, in comparison to any of my previous pregnancies, there's no denying that I am pregnant. I really grew quite quickly. I'm only like 5'2" at a push, so I'm quite a small human. So I definitely show that I've got kind of a short torso. So I started showing very, very quickly, but also I felt baby's movements really early. And now I'll see whether I can kind of insert a little video. You can see baby's movements from outside of my body from about 22, 23 weeks, which to me is insane because I only felt Atticus moving for the very first time when I was 20 weeks. So this is a huge difference, both in what's normal for this baby, but also in terms of how much more in tune with my body I am. So that's been really, really cool and really, really nice. Both Atticus, Jess, and my mum have felt, and Pete rather, have felt, I felt the baby move at this stage. So it's really quite real all of a sudden. We still have no idea what we're having. I'm erring towards boy at the moment, but I don't know whether that's just because Pete's still convinced that we're having a girl. Again, I'm tempted at times to find out, particularly recently, because we've been so lucky with sort of gorgeous hand-me-down clothes that we have gotten huge bags of gorgeous girls' clothes, and girls' clothes are just dreamy. Sweet little frills and ruffles and flowers, and I think I would probably be okay with putting a little boy in those. Atticus already gets kind of mistaken for a girl, and I think it doesn't really bother me all that much. I just take it as a compliment, but I think for Pete he would prefer that maybe we kept those things separate for if we did have a little girl. So I think a part of him is like, why don't we just find out to save us holding on to all of this stuff? But I'm kind of looking forward to this surprise at this point. The plan is still for a home birth if all's going okay with myself and with baby. I'm actually going to be birthing in my mum's house as the plan stands, because it's that little bit closer to the midwife who I had last time. So it's really lovely to kind of have that continuity of care and be able to have somebody who really knows you and what you want and what you need without having to explain your story several times over. I was talking to a colleague of mine relatively recently ago, and we were just talking about some research that came out that showed that statistically for the bog standard sort of public care that's available in Ireland, a pregnant person will meet approximately 40 people or care professionals in their pregnancy journey, which is a lot. That's a lot of people to be explaining your story to, explaining your birth preferences to. So for me, continuity of care is huge, particularly with having suffered a few losses. Having to sort of talk about that story over again is really, really hard. So that's been really, really nice to have someone who knows what you're about. I'm looking down at my notes here. So another scan tomorrow to see how this little baby is doing. Still don't know we're having. Kicks are massive. Again, I'll try and insert that little video here. We've got a couple of really sweet, still not allowed to have Pete to the scans with me, which has been really hard, but we've had a couple of really kind ultrasound techs who have allowed us to take kind of videos and to be able to sort of include him somewhat in the process. I don't think it bothers him too much. I think he's sort of like, yeah, I'll meet the baby when they come out. I have had a really big scare this pregnancy. So last week I was silly, really. I mean, I'll tell you the story first, then you can decide if you think it was silly or if you think it was just me being me. So I'm a very active person. I've been sort of, always been active my whole life. I ran through almost the entirety of my last pregnancy, and this time I've been sort of doing little bits, not quite as consistent with an exercise routine, but it was actually Easter Monday just gone, and I had just come home from seeing a lactation client. I put my head in the door and Pete was making sort of this lovely brunch, and we were all going to sit down and have this lovely brunch together, and he was like, go out, get a run in, and you'll come back and you'll be like ready for brunch and ready to have family time. So of course I threw on my running gear and like ran out the door, again being like approximately 26 weeks pregnant at this point. I should have warmed up a little bit, I should have slowed down a little bit, but I was so eager to get out for my run and do the little loop that we have around our house. It's like up by the forest and back down. So I was like, I could have had it done in 15 minutes if I had just taken my time. But I somehow managed to like get basically kind of tied up in my own feet. And instead, what you would imagine is that you would fall with sort of breaking the fall with your hands, or well, I do have some war wounds, but that's nothing. I didn't really fully break the fall with anything other than my bump, so I went splat down on my tummy. I then also managed to do something to my leg, so I had to literally scream from the window scream through the window from the road for Pete to come out and get me. He like picked me up, scooped me up, brought me back into the house. There was like blood everywhere. Jess was just a little dream. Pete was flapping around the place. He didn't know what to do. He was just so panicked, and she was just being really calm and just kind of, what can I do? What can I get? And I was like, okay, let Daddy just panic for a minute. He'll be fine. And I somehow managed to keep my cool. But in my head, I had already convinced myself there's no way this baby has made this fall. The impact with which I hit the ground was so significant that I had myself so convinced that there's no way this baby made it. So gathered the troops. Pete managed to get me into the car, and by the time I had arrived in A&E, it had been sort of an hour and I still hadn't had any movement. Bearing in mind this baby's like super duper active. This baby's like, if I just kind of check in, they're pretty much moving all the time, it feels like anyway. So for me to have a full hour with, say, the normal things that I would do that would make them move, like having a drink of water or having a little bit of something to eat, I still couldn't feel anything. So I was very much holding my breath for that entire journey and trying to put on a brave face. Got in the door, A&E, had to go in on my own, went upstairs. I was sort of bundled upstairs and was greeted by a sort of a team of professionals, and pretty much every single one of them just looked at me and was just like, you are just trying to do the right thing for you and your baby. You're just trying to keep you and your baby healthy. And they were so kind and so gentle, and I'm so incredibly grateful to them. But almost immediately they were able to find the heartbeat, and I burst out crying. I didn't realise how much I had been worried, how much I had been holding back, how much I had just expected that for some reason something like this was going to happen. So it was really, really scary. Luckily everything was okay. Got kind of fully checked out. Stayed there for a few hours just to make sure everything was all right. I actually did manage to do some significant damage to my knee, so I haven't actually been able to weight bear for about a week now, which has been really restrictive. I'm an awful patient. They say nurses are bad patients. I'm really bad. I find it so difficult to sit still and be minded. So that's been very interesting. My lovely husband took a few days off work and sort of looked after me through that time, but I say it was harder for him than it was for me. That's been the biggest scare. Other than that, things have been going really well. I've got a couple of kind of worries in my head. I think just relating to that, I managed to bleach my sort of one and only lovely comfy pregnancy dress, hence why I've had to make a few purchases, but I'll show you those in another video. So I've had a couple of kind of worries about just not necessarily the birth looming. I'm very excited for birth. I'm very excited to meet my baby. I'm really excited to start kind of getting sort of birth prep in flow, but I'm nervous about tandem feeding. I'm nervous about the possibility of Atticus being very jealous of sharing my time, of all of the normal soon-to-be parent of two things. We also yesterday went to visit. Atticus is meant to start kindergarten in September, and it's such a gorgeous place. I know he'll be absolutely fine, but I'm really nervous about just the logistics of if this baby's anything like Atticus. Didn't like the car. Still honestly doesn't like the car. And it's a good maybe half an hour drive, give or take, to get there. I would only be staying there for 3 hours. I'm sort of like, what am I going to do for that length of time? How am I going to get there with a newborn baby? What am I going to do with newborn? I'm still going to be sort of leaky and bleedy from everywhere at that point. So I think I just kind of can't quite figure that one out in my head. So that's a bit nerve-wracking. I've been feeling very limited in my body in general, in terms of like, I now feel incredibly pregnant, so sleep has gone out the window. I could be lying there. Atticus has been sleeping pretty well. He still wakes maybe once, sometimes twice a night, and will just generally come into us in the bed. But I could be lying there until like 3 o'clock in the morning, like wide awake, just not able to let myself go off to sleep. I've been listening to my hypnobirthing tracks. I've been doing a bit of sort of meditation, a little bit of listening to sort of ASMR videos on YouTube, which have been really, really lovely. I'll try and link some of my favourite channels down below. But the only thing that I've noticed that really, really helps, and again, I'm going to film a separate sort of second trimester favourites thing, and that is doing like either a foot soak or a bath with some sort of Epsom salt. So the idea with these is that they're sort of really high mineral content, in particular magnesium, and that has been really, really helpful. So that's really helped me kind of just ease myself off to sleep. It doesn't necessarily mean that I'll sleep the whole night, but it's definitely helpful, and it sort of eased my Charlie horse leg cramps during the night as well. I'm doing that because that's literally me, like kicking around the place, finding it really difficult to get comfortable. I'm waiting for my little pregnancy wedge to arrive. So instead of a pregnancy pillow, I've been really enjoying using sort of tucking a pillow right underneath my tummy. So I've got a specific one for that I'm dying to get in. So I hopefully will be able to show you that in my next video. Let me think. Still no stretch marks. I've gained a lot more weight in this pregnancy. I can't even stand up to show you, can I? I should really try. But it's just, I'm carrying it differently. I feel like last pregnancy, aside from having a little bump like clicked onto the front of me, or what looked like clicked onto the front of me, I didn't look a whole lot different. I was also a lot more active last time, whereas yeah, for sure I'm running after a little toddler, but I'm not in the gym every day by any means, not for an hour and a half anyway, which is probably what I was doing last time. I haven't really been watching my diet in the same way, but I think this is just what this baby needs, so I'm trying to just make peace with that. But as somebody who has had sort sort of eating disorders in the past and worried about body image, pregnancy is really hard. Yes, it is magical and beautiful and so worth it, but it's strange to feel that sort of lack of control and very so almost out of body experience, and where it's all just sort of taken control of by nature. It's really something else. So for those of you who are looking at this video and are not yet pregnant or hoping to be pregnant but haven't gotten there yet, it's just one of the most incredible things that, paired with like the kicks and movement, is just like, so I think that's everything. Nothing really in particular. Food aversions, still not eating mushrooms or peppers, just can't face them. I don't know why. Anything else, pretty much. Still loving sort of spicy, salty foods. So give me all of the like cheeses and like Mexican food. My mouth is even watering. It's too much. I have been finding it hard to get water in during the day. I've been still craving like sort of sweet juices and things like that. I'm literally slurping away on, it's the white grape and blackberry flavoured spring water, the sparkling one. I've been craving like fizzy stuff, so I need to find a good like maybe kombucha, sort of fizzy alternative, because I'm pretty sure this is full of all sorts of other not so good for you things. But that's everything for this video, and I'll be sure to film another update in about a month's time, just to kind of keep you guys clued in. For any of those of you who are watching, thank you so much. And if you haven't already, hit that little subscribe button down below. And if you're looking for more
My daddy. Wow, wow.